Thousands of people go missing in U.S. national parks every year. Most are found, some are not. And a small percentage leave clues that make absolutely no sense. Clothes folded neatly on rocks. Children found miles away over impossible terrain. Search dogs that suddenly lose the scent and refuse to continue. This isn't just about getting lost. According to the National Park Service, over 1,600 people have vanished under circumstances so bizarre that they've been classified separately from typical missing person cases. Former police detective David Paulides spent a decade investigating these disappearances. What he found changed everything. The cases follow patterns. Specific patterns that repeat across different parks, different states, different decades, weather turning violent during searches, technology mysteriously failing. And perhaps most disturbing of all, the complete absence of evidence where there should be plenty. These aren't random tragedies. Something systematic is happening in America's wilderness. Something that defies logical explanation. In the next 9 minutes, we're going to examine the most compelling evidence from the missing 411 files. We'll analyze the Dennis Martin case that started it all. We'll look at terrain that makes no geographical sense. And we'll explore theories that range from the plausible to the terrifying. By the end, you'll understand why these cases have investigators questioning everything they thought they knew about missing persons. The term Missing 411 was coined by David Paulides, a former police detective and investigator who stumbled upon these cases while researching Bigfoot sightings in national parks. What started as a casual inquiry became a consuming investigation when park rangers began sharing stories that didn't fit normal missing person profiles. Paulides established specific criteria for missing 411 cases. The person must have disappeared in a national park or wilderness area. There must be no obvious explanation for the disappearance. The circumstances must involve unusual or impossible elements, and critically, there must be a complete absence of evidence where evidence should exist. These aren't cases of people wandering off trails and getting lost. These are disappearances that violate basic principles of physics and human behavior. Children found dozens of miles from where they vanished, having traversed terrain that would challenge experienced hikers. Adults discovered in areas that had been thoroughly searched multiple times by professional teams. Clothing found folded and placed deliberately, as if someone carefully arranged them. Weather patterns that turn violent specifically during search operations, then clear immediately after searches are called off. The geographical distribution is equally puzzling. Certain areas seem to act as hotspots for these disappearances. Yosemite National Park has recorded over 50 missing 411 cases since 1958. The Great Smoky Mountains, Glacier National Park, and areas around Boulder, Colorado show similar clustering patterns. But here's what makes investigators uncomfortable. The cases don't just cluster geographically. They cluster around specific geological features. Granite outcroppings, areas with underground cave systems, regions with unusual magnetic properties. As if the landscape itself plays a role in these vanishings. The National Park Service maintains that these disappearances, while tragic, have conventional explanations. Exposure, animal attacks, falls into hidden ravines. But Paulides' research reveals something disturbing. In traditional missing person cases, evidence tells a story. Broken branches, disturbed soil, torn clothing, scent trails. In missing 411 cases, there's nothing. No trace, no trail, no logical progression from point A to point B. But the most disturbing aspect of missing 411 cases isn't what investigators find. It's what they don't find. And nowhere is this more evident than in the case that started David Paulides' investigation. A 6-year-old boy who vanished in broad daylight. What happened next defied every principle of search and rescue operations. The timeline makes no sense. The geography is impossible. And the evidence? There wasn't any. June 14th, 1969. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The Martin family was enjoying a Father's Day camping trip at Spence Field, a popular meadow area known for its scenic views and well-maintained trails. 6-year-old Dennis Martin was playing hide-and-seek with his father and other children around 4:30 p.m. The game was simple. The children would hide behind trees at the edge of the clearing while the adults pretended to search for them. Dennis ran toward a patch of rhododendron bushes about 150 yards from the campsite. His father, William Martin, watched him disappear into the vegetation. That was the last confirmed sighting of Dennis Martin. Within minutes, when Dennis failed to emerge from his hiding spot, his father began calling for him. No response. Other family members joined the search. Still nothing. By 6 p.m., park rangers had been notified. By midnight, a full-scale search operation was underway. What followed was one of the largest search efforts in National Park Service history. Over 1,400 people participated in the search over the following weeks. Military personnel, FBI agents, local volunteers, and professional tracking teams scoured 56 square miles of wilderness. Bloodhounds were brought in within hours of Dennis's disappearance. The dogs picked up his scent at the campsite, followed it toward the rhododendron bushes, then stopped. Completely stopped. The dogs refused to continue, acting agitated and confused. Fresh tracking dogs brought in the next day had the same reaction. They would follow the scent to the same spot, then lose it entirely, as if Dennis had simply vanished from that exact location. The terrain search revealed something equally puzzling. The area where Dennis disappeared was surrounded by thick vegetation and steep terrain. For a 6-year-old to navigate this landscape alone would be nearly impossible. Yet search teams found no broken branches, no disturbed undergrowth, no footprints in the soft soil, no evidence that a child had passed through the area. Weather became a factor on the 3rd day of the search. A violent storm system moved through the region, bringing torrential rain and high winds that grounded helicopters and made ground searches dangerous. The storm lasted 48 hours, then cleared completely. This weather pattern would become a recurring element in missing 411 cases. On June 29th, 15 days after Dennis disappeared, searchers found a single piece of evidence. His father's Boy Scout manual, which Dennis had been carrying, was discovered 19 miles from the campsite. 19 miles through some of the most rugged terrain in the Appalachian Mountains. The manual was found on a logging road that would have required Dennis to cross multiple ridgelines, traverse dense forest, and navigate terrain that challenged the adult search teams. The condition of the manual raised more questions. Despite being exposed to the elements for over 2 weeks, including the violent storm, it showed minimal weather damage, as if it had been placed there recently. No other trace of Dennis was ever found. The case remains open, but the National Park Service officially classified it as a presumed death by exposure. David Paulides argues this classification ignores the evidence that doesn't fit: the impossible distance traveled, the complete absence of a trail, the behavior of the search dogs, the convenient weather disruption, and perhaps most significantly, the timing of when the manual was discovered. Paulides interviewed several people connected to the Dennis Martin case during his investigation. Park rangers who had participated in the search described unusual incidents: equipment malfunctions that couldn't be explained, compass readings that didn't match GPS coordinates, radio communications that failed in specific areas, then worked perfectly once teams moved to different locations. One ranger, speaking anonymously, described finding what appeared to be a trail of disturbed vegetation leading up a steep cliff face. The disturbance pattern suggested something had been dragged upward along an impossible route. When the ranger returned with a team the next day to document the finding, there was no trace of the disturbance. The vegetation appeared completely undisturbed. The Dennis Martin case established the template that would define missing 411 investigations. Impossible distances, missing evidence, technology failures, weather disruptions, and a complete lack of logical explanation for how a person could vanish so thoroughly from a contained area. The missing 411 phenomenon forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility: that our understanding of how people disappear in wilderness areas might be fundamentally incomplete. Whether the explanation involves human predators, using sophisticated methods, unknown natural phenomena, or something else entirely, these cases demand serious investigation. The patterns are too consistent to dismiss, the evidence gaps too systematic to ignore. David Paulides continues documenting these disappearances, adding new cases each year that fit the same impossible profile. The families deserve answers. The missing deserve to be found. And until we can explain how a 6-year-old vanishes without a trace in broad daylight, surrounded by searchers, the mystery of missing 411 remains one of the most disturbing unsolved phenomena in American wilderness. What do you think explains these disappearances? Share your theories in the comments below, and subscribe for more investigations into cases that defy explanation.